Thank you, Danielle. That was just lovely. Good morning, buenos dias, and welcome to this service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Marie Bjork. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a 74-year-old white woman with short white hair and glasses, wearing a long black skirt and a black and white top. I am one of your worship associates this morning, along with Greg Bedinger. And today is Sunday, August 9th, 2026. Our community is striving to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you have been, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. And whoever you are becoming, we welcome you and invite you to bring your whole self here with us now. Reverend Jamili is away from the pulpit this morning and will return next Sunday. Our guest speakers this morning are Tavo Fuentes and Miranda Haley from the organization Humane Borders. Greg will introduce them more fully in a bit. For now, please help me give them a warm UUCT welcome. Thank you, Tavo and Miranda, for being with us this morning. Now, some housekeeping. There are gender-specific bathrooms in the front lobby, and there is also an accessible, gender-inclusive single-stall bathroom in the back of the AV room, which is just at the back of this worship area. And a big thanks to our AV folks for all they do for us, too. Due to the current situation in our country, we say the following every week. On Sunday mornings only, this sanctuary, the social hall that is behind this building, our parking lots, and our children's classrooms are open to all without invitation. Private offices are labeled and are available if needed if you feel unsafe. People may only enter those private offices by invitation. Please consider this your invitation to do so if you feel the need. There are 2 doors at the back of this sanctuary, great big yellow signs. Those are the private offices here. As we worship today, let us always be mindful of those desert people who came into this place and whose land was stolen in successive acts of displacement and genocide. We honor the Odom, the Yaqui, the Apache. We also honor the Hohokam and the many other ancient peoples whose names have been lost to us. On this unceded land of the native peoples, we worship here today with humility and gratitude. Each week, we honor one of the Unitarian Universalist core values. Today, we honor equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. As we move more deeply into the sacred space of worship, please know we value you for who you bring to us today. Whether you're here in person or joining online, whether you walked in, rolled, danced, skipped, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, whatever cultural and ethnic background you claim, whatever your immigration status, whomever you love, however you identify your gender, and in whatever way you choose to express it, you are truly welcome here. On behalf of our congregation, I want to especially welcome anyone who's here for the first time, or any visitors who feel new. If you are new and feeling up to it, we invite you to raise your hand so we may welcome you warmly. Thank you for joining us today. And now, Greg.
Thank you, Marie, and welcome to the realm of Worship Associates. It seems appropriate that today, if you didn't already know this, we're at the midpoint of the monsoon season. We are talking about water as a self-sustaining resource here. And more urgently, given that it's above the 100-degree mark here in Tucson, I wonder what it's like right now, this morning, 50 or maybe 100 miles south and west of here, out in the Sonoran Desert. Can you even imagine what it would feel like to be walking or seeking shelter from the sun and from the heat, and to be without water? Our guests today from Humane Borders know full well the answer to those questions. They have found a way to take actions that reflect their values, their faith-based roots, and from their guiding principles have made it their mission to save lives and transform the border into a space of dignity, justice, equity, hope, and human understanding. They do this by providing dozens of water stations throughout southern Arizona because they believe water is for everyone, because water and access to it should never be a barrier to survival. So as we enter into this time of worship this morning, I ask that you listen and reflect on how Humane Borders' guiding values mirror our own UU values, especially today, equity and justice. Come, let us worship together. I'd like to invite Tavo up to help with the chalice lighting this morning. He's going to read in Spanish, line by line, and we can repeat after that. And then we'll read the English version after that's done all together.
Thank you, Greg. Guardamos ese momento en el espíritu. Cuando el gran mosaico de la humanidad se trate con respeto y dignidad.
Cuando el gran mosaico de la humanidad se trate con respeto.
Cuando no se amanece a ninguna persona con el hambre o la guerra. Cuando le hayamos extendido la bienvenida al desconocido y atendido al enfermo.
Cuando le hayamos extendido la bienvenida.
Cuando la equidad y la justicia reinen por todas partes. Entonces todos seremos libres. Encendemos esta llama para guardar ese momento en el espíritu y en la mente hasta que lo podamos realizar. Thank you.
In English, and thank you everybody for giving that a run. This is named, we hold that moment in our spirit, if you didn't figure that out from the Spanish. So as we go, when the great mosaic of humanity is treated with respect and dignity, when no person is threatened by hunger or war, when we have extended hospitality to the stranger and tended to the sick, when equity and justice reign everywhere, then we shall all be free. We light this flame to hold that moment in our spirit and in our minds until we can make it real.
Would you please rise as you are able and sing "Wake Now My Senses"? It's 298 in the gray hymnal, and we'll sing the first, third, and fourth stanza of that hymn. Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Living,
while our guests' work revolves around water as a critical and just resource, much of their work would not be necessary but for restrictive and, I would say, vindictive immigration policies, reflected most visibly in Arizona by endless miles of border walls. Our slides today are views of these walls, some from the ground while others are from the air, showing different perspectives of scale and impact. These images help tell us a visual part of the story, and our guests will share more of that story with you from their own perspective and experiences. Tavo Fuentes is the executive director of Humane Borders and brings 3 decades of direct action and grassroots organizing to his new role here. Growing up in South Tucson, he marched for human rights as a volunteer with the Coalición de Derechos Hermanos. A first-generation student of the U of A, Tavo graduated with degrees in political science and Mexican-American studies, continuing on to receive his executive MBA. He's a dual U.S.-Mexico citizen and, of course, fluent in both English and Spanish, as we've heard. Tavo says the opportunity to lead Humane Borders into its next chapter appeals to him because it intersects his lifelong passion for humanitarianism with 20-plus years of executive-level experience, both at the U of A and most recently at the Rocky Mountain Institute, known as RMI, a nonprofit working for a resilient, clean energy future for all. Miranda Swan Haley is the Community Engagement Coordinator and Office Manager at Humane Borders. Raised in Georgia, she grew up with a strong belief in fairness and care for others. Values that led her to support women and children's rights within immigrant communities and help raise scholarship funds for students in rural areas where access to higher education is often limited. Since moving to Tucson, Miranda has felt a powerful call to engage in the humanitarian crisis unfolding just beyond her doorstep. What began as volunteering with Humane Borders and Tucson Samaritans grew into a steadfast commitment to supporting migrants with compassion, consistency, and community. She's especially passionate about bringing young people into humanitarian aid work, not just as participants, but as our future leaders. Whether it's high school students, college volunteers, or early career professionals, Miranda believes in creating spaces where young people feel seen, valued, and empowered to make a difference. So I want you to all give a warm welcome from UUCT to both of our speakers, and thank you so much for taking time to share your stories and tell us about the important work Humane Borders is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And thank you for having us. It's a real gift to be welcomed into your Sunday morning. Adopting beginner's mind to not assume if folks are aware of what Humane Borders does or why our mission is necessary. We're going to talk this morning as though all of you are new to it. As long as I've been involved with immigrant rights work for the last 30 years, I'm still learning, and I'm kept humbled by all of it. Your congregation envisions a world where justice and compassion cross all borders. I read that this week, and I thought it's no surprise why Humane Borders sprouted from the faith community here in Tucson. It's how this community shows up, spiritually envisioning a more compassionate world. Miranda and I are going to tell you how each of us ended up doing this work, and then what it is we are actually building. We are going to trade back and forth. Miranda came to Humane Borders before I did, and by a different road, Miranda. Okay, cool.
I'm on. There. Okay. Good morning. Thank you. So yes, I'm from Georgia. I grew up in Atlanta and spent most of my teenage and adult life in and around nonprofits. Even in college, I was much more interested in humanitarian and community organizations than I was in most of my classes. I remember telling one of my college mentors that I thought I wanted to do humanitarian aid work, but my parents were pretty nervous about that. And she asked me, she said, "That's lovely, dear. Are you independently wealthy?" I said, "No, ma'am, I am here on scholarship." And she's advised me to get a real job and do my nonprofit work on the weekends and in retirement. So I did. I went into corporate event planning, but I kept circling back to nonprofits because that's where I felt most like myself when I was in service to the most vulnerable in our community. And then when I moved to Tucson, I just knew that I had to get involved in migrant justice. Then one day, after I'd been volunteering for a while, my children were kind enough to tell me that they were getting older now and they didn't need me around quite as much, and I could go about my business. So I took a leap of faith, and I sent my resume only to people that I had met in the nonprofit and humanitarian aid community here in Tucson. And I told my husband, let's give it a couple of months and see what happens. And Humane Borders reached out, and they asked if I might have some event planning background. And could I produce their 25th anniversary event? And so I did, and it went great. And afterwards, they asked me to come in and interview for a position. And I said, that's great. What's the job? And they said, we don't know. Just come in and tell us what you think we need. And I had years of volunteer experience and some notes. So I went in and did a 2.5-hour presentation on what I thought would be intentional, strategic community engagement and education, bringing in the youth. And they said, that sounds great, come and do that. So the moment that really cemented my commitment to this work, however, happened 2 years ago. It was at an aid station. Near the end of the wall in Sassabee. It was July, and there were dozens and dozens of people. There were women and children and babies, and everyone was confused and traumatized. They didn't know how to contact Border Patrol and ask for asylum. We were working with Doctors Without Borders, and there were medical crises happening all around me. So I played with a mother's twins so that she could take a nap. And I spoke with a young woman who was only a few years older than my daughter, traveling alone from Pakistan. And then I helped a young man from Jordan call home to his mother, and I let her know that he was alive and safe and sent her a picture. We're still friends, and I talked to him this week. But seeing that level of human suffering in my own backyard, and there were so real solutions available, it made it impossible to look away. There are days when this work, obviously, is overwhelming. And my faith doesn't always protect me from falling into despair. But it gives me the strength to lift myself back up. And when I can't, the community that we've built at Humane Borders, they pick me up. That's why I'm still doing this work all these years later. But Tavo got here differently and more recently.
But this heart that Miranda brings to the work is my why at Humane Borders, because that's how we show up, with this heart and this compassion. And as Marie said, honoring the beautiful blooms of the Sonoran Desert that can be gnarly sometimes, and I feel like I'm one of those blooms from the Sonoran Desert. Throughout my life, I've been spiky, a little gnarly, but I practice to be beautiful. And I think about also my indigenous heritage, my family being from Sonora, and how my seed blew across the borders and it's landed here. And there's a saying that I learned from the young people that were trying to defend ethnic studies back in 2010. And the saying is, they try to bury us, but they forgot we were seeds. Well, I am here because of this seed that's been sought to be buried, and the walls that try to block us from coming and being here. So this work has been very personal for me. I have been involved with immigrant rights work since 1994, when the federal government began Operation Gatekeeper, which was the beginning of the strategy that persists to today, prevention through deterrence. The policy that began forcing migrants into the harshness of our desert terrain, the vastness of it, and the absence of water. The policy that's engineered the almost 4,500 remains, the deaths that we've recorded in our migrant death map. Remains found, unknown numbers of remains to be found, or lost to the desert and may never be found. Since '94, I began doing work with local grassroots organizations as an activist directly working with the most vulnerable migrant communities and against oppressive forces. Being an activist was an identity I wore as righteous, and I was angry. I wanted to tear down literal walls and political structures with ferocity. I would throw my body at the machine to stop it, or at least slow it down. I participated in civil disobedience actions leading to multiple arrests for expressing my right to speech. This has always been personal. My family is from Sonora. My parents are immigrants to the US. My older sister was born in Mexico because my mom was not allowed to cross after she married my dad. So my sister was born in Mexico pending paperwork. I have cousins that fear that they'll be stopped by masked men and unmarked cars to be disappeared into detention camps. My second generation US-born nephews, young people, fear being disappeared by ICE themselves. Extended family, and so many I've met throughout life over the years, have been displaced in Mexico and far beyond because of the economic and trade policy the US asserts in this hemisphere. It's personal because it has always seemed intentional against the most vulnerable and those that I love. To me, it's never been the immigration crisis, as it's referred to. Not because of migrants. It's an engineered crisis that causes inhumane level of pain and suffering that I've witnessed in the faces of the countless I've met during my life doing this work. In parallel, I led a fully separate life during the workday, which ended up developing as a professional career, becoming an organizational leader at the highest levels. This career spanned working in the Middle East in war zones, in leadership roles in higher education, and an executive for a globally operating climate change organization. The career is what paid the bills, and my activism is how I felt I could make an impact. Throughout my life, I was wearing masks for different personas that I played in life. It was exhausting. Along the way, I reconnected to a spiritual side that I had lost earlier in life. It began with practicing mindfulness meditation to address stress and trauma from life. It led to studying Buddhism, its teachings, and philosophy. I now practice a lay secular Buddhism. It has served me to not over-identify with any of these identities, to question my subjective truth, and to create space for holding compassion and understanding for all. It has taught me to practice loving kindness meditation, which sends love and kindness to those we hold dearest, those who abhor us, and those that we might abhor ourselves. It taught me the path and the practice of the bodhisattva, someone who commits themselves to reducing the pain and suffering of all living beings. That's my life's practice. Through the Buddhist Eightfold Path, I also learned about practicing right speech, right thinking, right action, and to seek right livelihood. Through my inner work practices, I made a conscious choice to begin practicing an integrated self where I can bring in the best elements of each version of myself and practicing one best integrated version of who I seek to be. That's the self I practice, at least. It's shaped how I lead. It's shaped how I can nurture self-care when performing the social justice work. It's shaped how I show up for my family and my community. In the beautiful synchronicity, after being laid off from my senior leadership role with RMI, the executive director role with Humane Borders became available, and I offered to bring to this Tucson-based 26-year-old organization all of my executive leadership experience, my 30 years of soul-connected passion for immigrant rights, and to bring a soft heart and commitment to reducing the suffering for all living beings. It's a beautiful organization, as you saw, represented by the heart that Miranda brings into it, with a beautiful mission that allows me to practice this fully integrated version of myself. So what is Humane Borders? Let me start with our mission, which Greg read earlier, to save lives and to transform the border into a space of dignity, justice, equity, hope, and human understanding. Humane Borders was founded in 2000 by faith communities here in Tucson, responding to the consequences of the policy that I referenced earlier. 30-plus years of prevention through deterrence, forcing migrants into the Sonoran Desert. That has been the policy, and it's using our desert as the judge, jury, and executioner for anyone who has dared to test the policy. We are a humanitarian organization that delivers water to fulfill our mission of saving lives. Every water station is permitted, either by government or by the private landowners that our water stations sit on. It's a blue barrel, usually 55 gallons, under a 30-foot flag, sitting on ground where we have permission to be on. Water could be the difference between life and death, so we prioritize the need to deliver on our mission. We, as an organization, can't be an activist organization. We must show up with discipline that will allow us to continue delivering that water to stations where we are allowed to on a daily basis. This is not a posture of neutrality, though. It's a disciplined form of resistance, a tradition that we're born out of that's been practiced for as long as humanitarian organizations have existed in zones of state-engineered harm. We practice our law or our work lawfully, evidence-based, and without apology, standing between the state and the vulnerable. We work with everyone in that desert, including Border Patrol, which might surprise folks, because that's what it takes to keep permitted water out there. Year after year for 26 years. I recently shook hands with a Border Patrol leader in partnership, something a younger version of myself would have absolutely rejected as a possibility. I was thinking earlier that version of myself probably would have wanted to be this version of. But as a leader of a humanitarian organization, it's mission first. I introduced myself to the Border Patrol leader and his colleague and told him, I believe we have a shared mission. That shared mission is avoiding deaths in the desert. He enthusiastically agreed and shook my hand back. It was critical to him, he said. As far as our mission is concerned, he is a partner, and I hope that this allows for more lives to be saved. So our water is for everyone. We don't discriminate, whether it be migrants, those Border Patrol agents that are out there trying to catch the migrants, hikers, hunters, even the vigilantes that wish harm on the migrants and maybe even organizations such as ours. Anyone who is out there and needs the water, we don't ask. Another thing we do that's less visible, and I think may be the more lasting one, in partnership with the Pima County Medical Examiner, Humane Borders maintains the most comprehensive public record of migrant mortality in Arizona. It's a map, it's public. Families use it to search for loved ones. Researchers use it, reporters reference it. We believe data is a form of truth-telling, and we believe truth outlasts almost everything else. We're powered by volunteers and by private donors almost entirely. Dozens of stations from here to Yuma, kept alive by ordinary people who get up early in the morning and head off into the Sonoran Desert in a Humane Borders truck. There is one line we come back to, and we say it often: let the courts decide, not the desert. Our beautiful and sacred desert should not be the judge, jury, and executioner on behalf of cruel decades-old policy of the federal government, upheld by each administration since 1994, regardless of political party. This is what we are. Miranda's going to tell you what this actually looks like on a water run.
A water run begins at what we affectionately call O'Dark 30 at Humane Borders headquarters in South Tucson. One of our trained drivers leads a run in a specialty retrofitted water truck. Usually with 1 to 3 other volunteers, each team is assigned a route with somewhere between 2 and 6 stations in generally the same area. Altogether, we try to keep it to about a half a day. The landscape changes dramatically on the route. That's one of the things that I love most about going out. Before I moved here, I had no idea how many different kinds of desert existed here. The terrain can be breathtakingly beautiful and at the same time unforgiving. When we reach a water station, we find that bright blue 55-gallon barrel resting in a cradle beneath a 30-foot blue flag. The flag makes the station visible from a distance, and to me, there's something friendly and hopeful about hearing it flapping in the wind. We inspect the barrel and the flag for environmental damage or intentional vandalism. We determine whether a barrel needs to be refilled, we test the water, swap out the barrel when necessary, and record detailed information in our log. We also visually inspect the area for signs that people may have passed through. Sometimes the barrel doesn't need us, but the desert does. Simply being there, paying attention, and bearing witness is part of the work we do. Then we drive to the next station and we do it all over again. It is repetitive, practical, and often unglamorous work, but that's part of what I love about it. So much of this work can feel overwhelming, but a water run reminds me that sometimes the most meaningful thing that you can do is to simply care well for the piece of world that's right in front of you. And then 2 of my favorite things happen on a water run. The first is the Tim Gunn make it work mentality. Out there, all you have is what you brought in the truck and the people that came with you and your own creativity. And somehow we always figure it out because we never leave a station down. The second is the people. You spend hours together in the truck, and somewhere along the way, it becomes like a group therapy session. You hear each other's stories, you laugh a lot. I've gotten some of my best recipes. You solve problems together. You build friendships that last long after the water run is over. And some of my dearest friendships have started in the cab of a Humane Borders truck. And those mornings have taught me that this work isn't just about carrying water. It's also about changing hearts and minds, mine and others. Because what has surprised me most about much of this crisis comes down to ignorance and education. We often say that the farther you get from the border, the more afraid of the border you are. My family back in Atlanta sometimes acts like I live in an active war zone. But when people encounter the facts, the data, and the human beings behind the work, we usually discover that we share some basic truths. Water is a human right, and crossing a boundary without the right piece of paperwork should not become a death sentence. And once you see that reality, you can't unsee it. So Tavo, will you tell them about the impact that we see in our work?
I will tag team with you. The first thing we want is the simplest thing, that nobody dies of thirst in our desert. Every barrel that we place out there, that we refill every morning, is a bet that someone's going to live because of it.
It is more than just water. We once had a water station in the yard of the old one-room schoolhouse down in Arivaca. And a local rancher saw that blue barrel and asked whether we could have one on her property. She knew migrants were passing through. She had been leaving food and water out for them for years. And so we installed one on her station, or on her land, and we continued to maintain it for her. But then her neighbor saw that she had one, and her neighbor wanted one too. And so we installed and still continue to operate that one as well. And we continue to see ripples in that community. Those barrels have become symbols. Each one is a literal planted flag in the desert declaring what those people and their land stand for. It says that someone thought you were worth the drive. Someone believed your life mattered enough to get up early, fill a truck, and carry water into the desert without ever knowing your name. Humane Borders is a blue flag planted in the desert, a visible declaration of dignity, justice, and humanity. And it still belongs to everyone. And every person who fills a barrel or makes a donation, invites us into a classroom, or simply helps someone else understand this work sends another ripple out. That's the community that I want to belong to, and it's what I'm proud to call my life's work.
And there's a longer game that we want at Humane Borders. We want to be more than just the field operation, the placing of the water into the water stations. Because as Miranda was just saying, the impact, the scaling of our impact needs to happen beyond the desert. We want to be a builder of knowledge, a partner to the rest of the people doing this work. Here, across the border and beyond, I really see this as a hemispheric issue, not one that just lives in the Sonoran Desert. We hope that this approach scales our ability to save lives beyond the water stations deployed throughout the desert. Both are necessary, but underneath it all, there's one conviction, and it's not complicated. Nobody should die as a result of border enforcement policy.
And so lastly, we would like to invite you to come and participate and share in our mission in the desert. And there are a variety of ways that you can do that. A water run. We would love to offer you some dates that you can come on a water run with us at ODark 30. And we will be tabling, so please come and see me and we can talk about getting you scheduled for that. But also inviting us into spaces like this where we can do some education. We work with the youth. We have workshops that we put on where youth will go out with our drivers and do a mini water run and then come back to our facility to engage in about an hour of an immersive workshop that really helps build that empathetic lens and break down some of the stereotypes. And most importantly, it teaches you how to interpret what you're encountering from other people and in the news, integrate that with what you've learned in real life that's happening at the border, and then show up and participate in those conversations. And I always tell our youth, you are going to be able to get through to people that won't listen to me. You'll be invited into rooms that I won't be let in. And so they become our best ambassadors. A donation of time at our events, tabling for us, participating in our outreach and education, just showing up for us when we are tabling at, you will see us at Tucson Meet Yourself and at the Festival of Books and lots of other events around town. Please come by. Tell us how much you support our work. Get some information. Bring us into your book club. We have a book and film club, and authors and directors love to show up when I call them. So invite us into your spaces is one of the best ways that you can support us.
And to close, there is a barrel out in the desert right now under a tattered blue flag. The barrel is marked with Humane Border stickers. There's usually a sticker of La Virgen de Guadalupe, a culturally relevant image that we hope brings hope and solace to someone who finds the station. A Humane Borders volunteer filled it who will never know who drinks from that station. Whoever drinks from it will never know who filled it. There is no thank you. There is no immediate gratification for us knowing who, if anyone, was saved. We've made our kind of peace with that. We do not need to know. We bless and release. That's the practice of carrying the water. There's a Zen Buddhism proverb I think of often relating to our work. The proverb is, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Our work is our practice that serves in reducing the suffering in the world. until we live in a world where fellow humans are no longer forced to migrate through our deserts. We drive truck, carry water. We'll drive the truck and we'll carry water. Thank you so much for letting us carry this into your sanctuary this morning. And I hand off to Marie for joys and sorrows. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you. At this time in our service, we paused to reflect on our week. We recall the milestones, the joys, the concerns and sorrows, the changes in our lives, and those who need our healing thoughts. Community is deepened by sharing what is in our hearts with each other. Our earth is strong. It can hold our pain and our joy, our love and our anger. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows each week, is strong enough to hold the big rocks, our collective celebrations and mournings, and also the smaller stones that you will add shortly to signify your own individual joy and sorrow. We who live in the desert know that water is a life-sustaining and scarce resource. Let us remember those who are walking through our desert right now without access to water. Today, we pour water into our bowl with one of the jugs that Humane Borders has used in the desert. We also have these blue flags that are the flags that they use to signify where their water barrels are located. They provide water for anyone crossing our desert who needs it. If you have a joy or sorrow you wish to share, I invite you to go to menti.com and put in the code 31282827. Or I think you can use the QR code on the screen. Please include your name if you want us to know who is sharing. If any of you here in the sanctuary want some help with Menti, Brian Moon is happy to help you do that. If you are here in person, I'll invite you in just a moment to come up to the table and create ripples of hope by putting a stone into the water to symbolize your own joy or sorrow. For everyone else, please remain seated in quiet contemplation. We also have a bowl and a table at the back of the sanctuary if you prefer to remain off camera or if it's just easier for you to use that one. Please, those of you who wish to come to participate, please come forward and form a line on each side. Thank you. Okay, our mente today. Grieving for the loss of the 4 large cottonwood trees down in Lochiel. Did I pronounce that correctly? Lochiel. Because the border wall is not routed around them. Absolutely. Heartbreaking. Keeping clean, feeling great. Oh, congratulations. Happy for you. Looking for work. Good luck. We wish you well. Joy, with thanks and gratitude for Humane Borders and all of its volunteers. Stephen Kranek. Amen. Being here at this church alone is doing the best and being the best of me. I thank you for letting me be here with everyone on Sundays. I feel deeply with gratitude and happiness that I won't forget. Oh, we're glad you're here too. My personal wish for this morning, or gratitude for this morning, is for these 2 wonderful people who shared with us today. I am very moved. Wasn't sure I was going to be able to talk after hearing them for the emotion, but just thank you. Thank you for what you do. For all those joys and sorrows, both expressed and silent, please know that you are being held in a spirit of love.
Would you please respond by singing Spirit of Life? We'll sing it from the gray hymnal in 123 and from the purple hymnal in Spanish, number 31. The words will be on the screen. We'll sing it through twice. Please stay seated. Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea.
This is Famous by Naomi Shihab Nye. The river is famous to the fish. The loud voice is famous to silence, which knew it would inherit the earth before anybody said so. The cat sleeping on the fence is famous to the birds watching from the birdhouse. The tear is famous, briefly, to the cheek. The idea you carry close to your bosom is famous to your bosom. The boot is famous to the earth, more famous than the dress shoe, which is only famous to floors. The bent photograph is famous to the one who carries it, and not at all famous to the one who is pictured. I want to be famous to the shuffling men who smile when crossing streets, sticky children in grocery lines, famous as the one who smiled back. I want to be the famous in the way a pulley is famous, or a buttonhole, not because it did anything spectacular, but because it never forgot what it could do.
Thank you, Danielle. I'd like to give my own thank you to Miranda and Tavo for being here today and sharing so much of their heart. As you know, one Sunday each month is designated as Share the Plate Sunday, on which we give half of the non-pledge collection to a community organization whose mission we support. Generosity is a spiritual practice, and Share the Plate is an expression of our mission. Today's recipient is Casa Maria Soup Kitchen. In addition to feeding the homeless and others in need, Casa Maria's mission is to create decent, affordable housing in South Tucson that offers a path for residents to control their own housing, that preserves a housing future for low-income residents, and that combats community deterioration in this historically disadvantaged community. Half of the amount of all checks made out to UCT that have Share the Plate written in the memo line, as well as half of all cash donations today, will go to Casa Maria. If Share the Plate is not written in your check's memo line, it will not be included. If you are joining us virtually, you can send a check to the church office with Share the Plate in the memo line, or you can give online at uuctucson.org/donate. And if you do give online, be sure to indicate that your donation is for Share the Plate. This church is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. The ushers will now gratefully receive your donations. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dennis McRitchie, and I'm the Vice President of Operations for your Board of Trustees. As such, I'm the liaison to the facilities team and the safety team. I want to first invite everyone to social hour after the service in Goddard Hall, which is out the double doors behind you. There will be coffee, iced tea, lemonade, snacks, and good company. Social hour food and refreshments are free for all, and donations are appreciated to cover our costs. Visitors are encouraged to take one of the red cups just inside Goddard Hall for any beverage as an opportunity for members to find you and extend a warm welcome. If you are new and want to stay in touch with us, you can fill out a guest information card in the Welcome Center in Goddard Hall or in the foyer. There is also a virtual guest information card in the newcomer section of our website. And now for our announcements, Brian Moon has our first announcement.
Actually, I'm going to do two. I just wanted to tell you that the people personing the Humane Borders table heard about the red cup thing, and they all grabbed red cups. So when you go over there, make sure you go to the table. My announcement is choir starts a week from Wednesday and begins again. And the first rehearsal is a potluck. So the potluck will be in Goddard Hall at 5:30 a week from Wednesday on the 19th. You can just show up for the food and don't, beyond that, we'll figure it out. But anyway, I hope to see some of you there and ask me questions if you have them. Thank you.
And this being summer, we're, not completely spilling over the cup with announcements. But some of you may have noticed that in the courtyard between the two buildings where the Children's Center operates, that the shade sails are rather tattered. And we have placed an order for replacing them. The company that does it works 2-3 months out, but at this point, they should be installed in September. So we're really looking forward to that, and they'll probably last us for the next 20 years. Although the security project was over this summer, but there was still one touch that hadn't been finished, which was that the company doing the fencing brought in incompatible keypads. So that forced us to always have to use keys and all the problems that incurs. But at any rate, Barb tells me that the keypads have now been installed and the project is now officially over. Finally, as a member of your board, I want to share that Ken Ash, who is part of the facilities team, would like some help with the landscaping master planting and maintenance plan. So if any of you have a creative green thumb and would like to help out with the master planting and maintenance plan for the landscaping, please see Ken in social hour. He's raising his hand right over there. And also, come talk to me or anyone else with a board lanyard if you want more information about anything we've talked about. I will also be in social hour if you have any questions or feedback for your board. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. Hi. I'm Miranda, and I brought a book to share with you. Did I turn off? There we go. Is that better? Okay. When I talk to students, when I talk to children, I like to make sure that we're all using the same words and that we all understand the same words. So we go over some vocabulary. And here today we've been talking about migrants. Do you guys understand the difference between a migrant, an immigrant, a refugee, and an asylum seeker? I didn't when I first moved here. I didn't know either. That's why I like to get on the same page. So a migrant is someone who lives in another country and they travel to another country, but they don't necessarily mean to live there forever. That's an immigrant. An immigrant is someone who comes from another country to a new country and they want to make a new life there. And then we have a refugee. And a refugee is someone who's coming from their home country and they cannot stay there. Maybe they can no longer work. Maybe there's a war or something going on, but they have to flee. And then they can come to a new country and ask to seek asylum, which means that they can stay there where they're safe, either indefinitely, forever, or until it's safe for them to go home. So we're talking about migrants today. And I brought a book called Dreamers, and it's about a mother and her child who migrate. So, and it has really nice pictures, so I'm going to show you the pictures, but not everybody else will be able to see them. I dreamed of you, then you appeared. Together we became a more love. Resplendent life, you and I. One day, we bundled gifts in our backpack and crossed a bridge, outstretched like the universe. This is my favorite picture because I like all the bats. And when we made it to the other side, thirsty, in awe, unable to go back, we became immigrants. Migrantes, you and I. The sky and the land welcomed us in words, unlike those of our ancestors. There were so many things we didn't know. Unable to understand and afraid to speak, we made lots of mistakes. You and I became caminantes. Thousands and thousands of steps we took around this land until the day we found a place we had never seen before, suspicious and improbable. It's a library. Unbelievable and surprising. Unimaginable. Where we didn't need to speak, we only needed to trust, and we did. Books became our language. Books became our home. Books became our lives. We learned to read, to speak, to write, and to make our voices heard. Someday, we will become something we haven't even yet imagined. But right now, we are stories, we are two languages, we are lucha, we are resplendence, we are hope. We are dreamers, soñadores of the world. We are love and more. Thank you. You have adorable children.
Our closing hymn today, I apologize, Greg and Maria, I inadvertently switched it right before the service, not intentionally, is Building Bridges. I've asked Tom Gregg to help me lead it. It's a short round, it's 1023 in the teal hymnal for those that don't know it. If you don't know it and it's new to you, you'll catch it very quickly. Let's sing it twice through, all the way in unison, and do twice in a round. If you're on my side, you're going to start. If you're on Tom's side, you're going to close it out. If you're in the middle, just, sing something sometime. We'll figure it out. Can we have a 1 and 3? Good. Building bridges bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Again, you building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices, all of our vision, friends, we could make such sweet. Let's try this. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet. Repeat the last line. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Thank you. Our final, am I on? Yes. Our final reading this morning is entitled The New Colossus. It is written by Emma Lazarus in 1883, and I think you'll recognize at least the end of it. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient land, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. As we extinguish the chalice, please read the following words with me. As we extinguish this chalice, let us remember that we take with us the warmth of compassion, the glow of love, the fire of commitment, and the light of truth. Let us go forward and nurture seeds of spirit, service, and love.